Yo, Arknights Endfield devs just came out of nowhere with a absolute banger. We are going to be getting a 6-star designation selection permit for Fariski, which is going to allow you to choose a 6-star of your choice. And I want to talk about who the best 6-star you could be choosing is if you don't have someone in mind. But we'll talk about that later. There's also a lot of patch notes with very, very good changes that have been asked by a lot of people. For example, adding a feature on PC that lets players exit top view mode by pressing the escape key. I know all of us are always, instead of pressing caps lock, we always press escape and then you go into the menu, then you have 3 menus to go through and then you're just stuck in a loop. That's huge. We're going to be able to change that. A lot of other changes as well. But yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, we're getting a 6-star selector. To get this 6-star selector, it's going to be on February 5th after a quick update they're going to do. It's another 10-minute update. They did one of these previously before when they did tweaks and optimizations. They're going to be optimizing the enemy stats. So at exploration level 6, enemy level is going to be reduced from level 60 to 55, and the post-adjustment level 55 enemies drop the same loot. Same for exploration level 7, they are going to drop 10 levels, but the loot is going to stay the same. They're also going to make it so that you can get some free Therium components and Cryston components from authority level 16 to 18 and 28 to 30. This is pretty much to start you off with some gear if you haven't built up your factory or anything. I think this is really nice to ease people into the game so that your factory doesn't have to be fully built on this. I'm not gonna lie though, it's not hard to craft these factories, but it is really nice to have this because then you'll be able to have gear for your characters without having to think about, oh, how optimized should my factory be to make these like components, you know? Next thing that they're going to be doing is administrators will receive enough components to assemble 4 pieces of gear of the listed quality. So pretty good. They're going to do some AIC factory control optimizations. A feature to quickly switch all selected facilities on or off has been added to top view mode. This is so big. When your base like runs out of power by accident or something like that, normally you would have to make a blueprint and then delete your whole base and then add it back after you like get power, or you would have to like finagle around with like your base and everything. Now you can just turn all of your facilities off real quick, make sure you get the power back in there, and then you'll be chilling, which is huge. Next thing, map experience optimizations. Distribution of nearby enemies for several TP points, rare material gathering sites, and mining spots in the map have been adjusted to improve the administrator's experience when setting up AIC facilities in these locations. This is really big. So enemies are not going to be in very annoying spots anymore. They're going to move them around the map. This is actually a really crazy change. This is like a devs, I'm not gonna lie, this is one of like the most devs listen change. Like this is something they had to have been listening to people complain about, and like this is a very, very specific change to move enemies like out of mining spots and stuff like that. This is a really, really good change. Another thing is that they're adjusting the difficulty designs for a number of percussive devices. I don't know what that is, so I'm not gonna lie. Another thing is optimizations they have in the works for future updates. They have been looking at in-game data and feedback from our community. We have been getting a lot of surveys in the game. So I'm not going to lie, this thing, I've been doing the surveys, right? But I think like the last 2 surveys, I'll be honest, I wasn't that too crazy on them. But now, getting a change like that one earlier, I'm putting all this stuff I have a problem with in the surveys now, 100%. So yeah. More headhunting resources and sources, so more pools. That's huge. They're going to add more sources of AIC quota as players have reflected the limited amount of AIC quota available during early game, and they're going to optimize several tasks in the operation manual. That's your dailies. Dailies in this game are pretty terrible, I'm not gonna lie. You could play the game for like 10 hours straight and not finish your dailies because the dailies are pretty separated from the game, I would say. Like they're spending sanity and stuff like that, but like yeah, like you could literally be going through the story and all that to like literally not have your dailies done, which is kind of crazy. Their dailies should be on stuff like doing your depot. I don't even think collecting materials in the open world gives you dailies. Like, yeah, so a lot of changes for that. They're going to optimize the protocol spaces for materials. Players can now challenge these protocol spaces with their team at max HP. Oh my god, this is a huge change. I don't even know how this was in the base game, to be honest, but I'm glad they're changing this. Bro, every time you would go into a protocol, if your characters are dead, they don't get revived no matter what. If they're dead, they just stay dead, and you would have to go to a teleport, because your base doesn't even heal you up, which is kind of crazy. I don't know why your base doesn't heal you up. You have to go to a teleport point to get healed, which is crazy. Next thing, a bunch of AIC factory changes. Displayed of shared facilities and cutscenes. No more memo beacons trolling you, I guess. Management of shared facilities so they can be deleted from the map screen. Oh, that's huge. Wait, that is really big. That is really big. A quick stash logic of filled bottles. That's really nice. UI of players' own ziplines can be better distinguished from shared zipline facilities. That's really good. Increasing the maximum zoom out of top view mode. This is really nice. You would have to get the maximum zoom, you would have to make a really big blueprint, which means that the top view mode having a really huge zoom existed, but you didn't have the option to do it yourself. So this is a really good change. Adding a feature on PC that lets players exit out by escape key. That's what I opened up this video talking about. Lots of quality of life stuff, you know, optimizations, all that type of stuff, quick claiming, which is huge. Combat, optimizing visual cues and effects for when enemies are about to attack. This is really, really big. So there's like the worm enemies in the game, and they have like a ability that you can cancel, but they still shoot out the thing. So I wonder if they're going to change that to like maybe not be a red attack, because it doesn't make sense that it's a red, but you don't cancel them from shooting out the like poison goo on the floor, in my opinion. They're also going to optimize your teammates picking up drops and loot, and optimize your teammates' actions, movement paths, and collision effects, which is really good. They're also going to optimize the logic for exiting battles. Very solid as well. One thing I hope they... Okay, this may be... I doubt this is only me. In the quest right now, a lot of the quests, they had you go into like a separate domain for them, and some of the dialogues, right? They're like not skippable dialogue, but it's like a 2-sentence dialogue, so you have to wait for the second sentence to appear on the screen. And me skipping, right? I'm skipping through, and then they have these like normally near like the end of that domain you'd be in. But the problem with these domains is the domains fully reset if you leave it. And I had that happen 3 times in the Yvonne quest, maybe more. And I had it happen during the Levitain quest, where I was pressing escape and I was pretty much tunnel vision skipping, right? And I was getting kicked out of the domain and pretty much full resetting the whole portion of that quest that I was doing because of the skip button and that being in the same thing, which is kind of the same thing as you pressing escape instead of caps lock when you're in the top view mode. I hope they can optimize something for that in the quests. Maybe something in here it's talking about that. I don't know, but yeah, I hope that is something that they can change. But now going over to talking about the 6-star selection permit. Honestly, I think you should just choose whichever character you think is the coolest, most attractive, you know, whichever one you go to, maybe like that, something like that. But Ardalea, we get her for free, right? Then we have Pog. Pog is the best in slot for support team, non-negotiable. If you want to build up the support team, you should be getting Pog 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%, not negotiable. And then Last Right, she is a very, very solid ice DPS. If you don't plan on getting Yvonne, I would recommend getting Last Right, because Last Right and Yvonne do overlap each other in terms of their teams. I wouldn't run them on the same team, because Last Right and Yvonne both use solidification. So if you put them on the same team, you're kind of just gimping out both people. Ember is pretty buns right now. She does have a slot in the physical team for like stagger spamming, but she's kind of buns there. And Li Feng is actually a very solid, I think he applies a bunch of vulnerable for the physical team, which is very good, but you can also just use Depan as well. Depan is very good in the physical team with Enderman and Chen. So don't really need to get Li Feng unless you really like him. My top picks would 100% be Pog and Last Right. I'm personally going to be going for Pog. I play the electric team a ton, but in the future, I want to be able to build up the physical team. So having Pog for that is going to be absolutely insane. I'm not going to lie. And I already have Ember from Standard, and I already have Li Feng, but even if I didn't have them, I would still go for Pog. So yeah, that is what I'm personally going to be going for. But let me know, what do you plan on going for on this 5-star permit selector? And happy Enfielding. My current progress in the game, I don't have the game open right now. I've been playing the new season update. Addicted to this. New season 2 has been going hard, not gonna lie. Do you know what would go crazy? I would love if they added... I know people get tired of roguelike modes in gacha games, but if they're good, it wouldn't be bad. You know what I'm saying? sometimes people add like slop roguelikes in a mode, or the roguelike just doesn't even exist because it's like an event or something. I think roguelike modes in these AAA gotchas, as people call them, high budget gotchas, are pretty fun. And I think Enfield could have a cool variant of it if they did something creative. I don't know. But yeah, anyways, that's all for today. Make sure to sub up, more Enfield content in the future, and see ya.